Against a dark blue backdrop and surrounded by the lines of a camera viewfinder, white letters come into focus. Under the letters is the same text written in Braille. Juan Alcazar.
Hey everybody, what's going on? So, I've been wanting to make this video for a while actually, and this is actually based on a friend's blog post from a few years ago. So some of you might know Holly from the blog Life of a Blind Girl, and if you don't, I highly recommend checking it out. Holly was also featured, one of the many people featured in my Blindness is a Spectrum video. I also recommend checking that out if you haven't done so. So this blog that she talks about is the 21 things that she cannot live without as a blind person. So I thought to myself, well, maybe I could do something similar myself. See if I can come up with a list. I might have gone a couple items over 21, but you know, who's counting? I'm not going to go into too many details about this because it's just going to make this video a lot longer, so I'm just going to generalize, and if you happen to not know what these are, I'll mention just, a little bit of detail on how they work. So let's get this started. What are the things that I cannot live without as a blind person? Number 23, Slate Stylus. If you don't know what that is, it's basically a flat piece of metal or plastic that has holes on one side that represents braille cells, and the stylus is a small metallic piece with what's called a saddle on top so you can rest your finger on there, and the slate opens up so then you can put braille paper, which is very thick paper, or an index card, and then you can proceed to press the braille with the stylus onto the paper. And the interesting thing is that you have to write backwards in order for it to look the right way, so it's a little bit confusing. I don't write braille too much, but the thing is, I still want to learn how to write a few short notes on index cards and things like that, so I think just keeping that just handy would be a good idea. Number 22, money Brailler. Okay, so I don't really carry cash too much, but the thing is, if I do, then I might want to have this with me because I've tried the folding method, I've tried to identify bills in that method, but you know what, it's been confusing, so I just thought maybe I should just find a way to braille my money if possible. So this piece of plastic actually has 6 different slots where you can just punch the braille dots into the money and it quickly brailles the money for you. Number 21, liquid level indicator. This I don't use too often, but the thing is I do need it at times, and the way this works is you just place this on the side of a cup, a mug, or anything like that, and you pour water or whatever you want to drink. One side has 2 metal prongs which go into a glass or mug, and once the liquid reaches the metallic part, it makes a sound, letting you know that, hey, if you fill it up a little bit more, it's going to overflow. Number 20, Braille Labeler. Okay, so besides looking like a Star Trek ship without the warp engines, this actually comes in really handy. So it has a long handle which has a button at the bottom, which when you press it, it actually imprints the Braille on some tape that's inside. And the front part actually has a lot of Braille on it, so it has the letters A through Z, and then a few contractions in there as well, thrown in for good measure. I've labeled things like my memory cards for my DSLR and a few other little things like that. Number 19, Braille measuring cups. Okay, so these are just like your standard measuring cups. It's just that what's written on them, the measurements on them are in Braille, so it makes it a lot easier for me to fill up anything that's, a cup or 3/4 of a cup, half a cup, etc. I'm not in the kitchen too often, but when I do need to use something to just quickly measure, these come in really handy. Number 18, AirTags. I thought I didn't need them at first, but you know what? These have been extremely helpful. If I misplace my cane, I can track it down. I also have them for my keys. I also have them for if I'm traveling, put them inside any luggage. And I usually go out with a backpack a lot of times, so I have an AirTag for my backpack as well. Number 17, eye compress mask. Okay, so this one, my then girlfriend, now fiance, got this for me, and because I get a lot of migraines, I definitely need this, especially if I have a really bad migraine, so I just put this in the microwave just for a few seconds, and then just, wait for it to cool down a little bit, and then I place it over my eyes, and yeah, it does have a bit of an effect, so yeah, definitely can't live without that. Number 16, rubber bands. Okay, hang in there with me. These are quick, these are cheap, and yeah, these are very effective tactile markers. So if you happen to have like pill bottles, like for me, my multivitamins or my vitamin D pills, because I have vitiligo, I gotta take those. If you want to label any other thing, rubber bands are a quick way to just have something tactile to basically say, hey, this is mine. Number 15, HomePod. So I'm not a heavy Siri user, but the thing is, I still do quite a bit with the HomePod where it actually does quite a bit for me. Obviously the usual: check weather, check sports scores, do conversions, even translations, listening to music, obviously, set timers, quite a few other things. I've actually been able to answer the phone a few times, send text messages if my hands are full, so yeah, the HomePod actually comes in quite handy for me. Number 14, signature guide. Okay, this little piece of plastic might not seem like much, but you know what? It's very helpful when you're having to sign something, because there's nothing more dreaded when someone asks you, "Sign here, please." So it's just a piece of plastic with a rectangular cutout, and you just line up the cutout wherever the signature, wherever you have to sign, and you just, sign away. Quick, simple, but it's really effective. And all you have to do is just tell the person, "Hey, where do I line this up?" and you're good to go. Number 13, bump dots. Okay, you can never have enough bump dots. So these are actually sticky little, almost half-domed stickers. These actually come in various shapes and sizes. So they're made to be tactile. So usually I place these on buttons or in things that need, an actual marker, because I might not be able to see them well, like flat buttons on a microwave. I use two to help me navigate to the other buttons. If you're having to use like a washer and dryer, if you need to know what setting something is, you put a bump dot there to line it up, and it'll let you know that setting in particular. So yeah, I don't use them too much, but these, along with the rubber bands, great tactile tools, great low-tech, cheap tactile tools. Number 12, Apple TV. Okay, so I like my Apple TV because, you know what? It has the voiceover screen reader built into it, so yeah, just that alone is good. It's good in my book. But you know what? I'm also able to watch a lot of movies on Netflix, Apple TV Plus, a few other places, and all with audio description. More on that later. But it definitely makes the experience of watching TV a lot more accessible, especially for me who needs to use voiceover. Number 11, disability placard. Okay, so this one comes in really handy, especially when you're, getting rides from someone. You take this, and the person with you is able to park in the disabled parking spot. That's one big disability perk that the person giving you a ride is likely going to enjoy, because hey, they're actually able to park in that spot. But of course, I have to be in the car with them. Do not park in the disabled spot if you do not own a disability placard. Number 10, Apple Watch. Alright, so this one's great because I do a lot of just working out, and this is my workout timer, and it keeps track of time, obviously, but it's also, if my phone is charging or if I'm away from my phone, this is where I check my notifications, even emails. I'm able to respond to a few things by using voice dictation, but I like that a lot of times I can just quickly check just some very basic things without having to grab my phone. I can just check them on my watch. And yes, this also works with voiceover, and it also works as a remote control to activate the camera on my iPhone, which I'm recording in right now. Number 9, transit card. And this segues from the previous one because I have my transit card. I have a physical transit card, but also a digital one, and the digital one is loaded onto my Apple Watch. So yeah, I do have my transit pass on my watch too, because it's also a disability transit card. It gives you a bit of a discount whenever I'm taking the bus, the train, the subway, things like that. Number 8, sunglasses and hats. Okay, so yes, I do have to wear sunglasses when I go out, because for me, I'm light sensitive, and I do have to just put sunglasses on, a lot of times even on overcast days. And the hat, I just need just general protection because, like I mentioned earlier, I have vitiligo. That's a skin disorder where the pigment fades away from areas in your skin, so I have to be protected from the sun as much as possible. So I do wear kind of big sun hats, but you know what, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? Number 7, AirPods. Okay, I like my AirPods Pro. They're awesome. I love listening to music all the time. I do like that with the AirPods Pro, you can just use that touch-sensitive area in the stem to just skip a track, activate Siri, turn the volume up and down, things like that. So those are all great features, and on top of that, if I'm watching TV at night, I'll be watching a movie or a TV show with the AirPods on, and I'm not bothering anybody. Number 6, Braille. Braille in general, Braille books. About 3 years ago, I did not know how to read Braille whatsoever, and now, Even though I'm a slow reader, I'm able to just read a few things here and there. And actually, I've decided to challenge myself lately, and I thought, okay, maybe I should read something that's a little bit more heavy. Astrophysics for People in a Hurry by Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's kind of dense, but no, I'm very grateful for Braille, and I think it's going to just help me even more as the years go by. Number 5, audiobooks. Okay, so audiobooks are great. When I had more vision, I used to love reading, and that's one thing that I do miss, just actually reading physical books. But the thing is, audiobooks has definitely just met that criteria for me. I don't think that being able to listen to a book is any lesser than being able to physically read a book. It's like you retain the information the same way, but you know what? If I'm really into one, I'll just, listen to as many chapters as possible whenever I get a chance. Number 4, audio description. For those of you who don't know what audio description is, AD is basically an accompanying audio track which tells you the visual elements in between lines of dialogue, so a blind or low vision viewer can enjoy the TV show or the film just like a sighted person would. Without audio description, the blind and low vision community would not be able to watch films, TV shows, or even stage productions. I'm super glad that this service is available, and while there is many titles that do not have audio description, the fact that it's being worked on, the fact that there's still a good number of titles with AD, I think that's great. Number 3, MacBook Pro. I've used the Mac for such a long time. When I transitioned into using VoiceOver, the screen reader that comes with the Mac, and like I said, all other Apple products, it was a bit of a challenge at first because it's a little different on the Mac as it is with, a touchscreen. It's a lot of keyboard commands and things like that, but once I got used to it, I really love VoiceOver on the Mac. And of course, the MacBook Pro is my editing machine. I would not be able to edit videos on Final Cut Pro without it. I've edited videos on Final Cut Pro for so long, but it's a nice little challenge doing this with VoiceOver. But yeah, you wouldn't be watching this video if it wasn't for me editing on Final Cut Pro. Number 2, White Cane. Out of all the low-tech tools that I have, this one reigns supreme because this is actually what got it all started. If it wasn't for my white cane, I wouldn't be able to not just simply go outside and just take short trips. I wouldn't be able to go cross country. I wouldn't be able to go to Chicago, wouldn't be able to visit New York City, and I've done that. And you know what? Just having the white cane has made me so much more confident, and I've actually felt like it's made me feel great just getting out there and just knowing that, like, hey, this is your symbol of independence. It did take me a little while to finally accept having to use a white cane, but you know what? Now I can't imagine not using it. Number 1, iPhone and iPad. I love my iPad, and I like my iPhone even more. My iPad is my computer when I don't need to use my Mac. The iPad is also an extension of the iPhone, so I think it's great, especially if I need to do a lot of typing, like with text messages or just, doing social media posts or other things. That's the one thing where the iPad does have an advantage over the iPhone. Well, the iPad with the attached keyboard, that is. But yeah, I do prefer typing instead of voice dictation. So yeah, the iPad's awesome. It's one of the most accessible devices that I've ever had. And my iPhone, well, what can I say? It's my accessibility Swiss Army knife. It's like, where do I start? It's like there's so many things that I can do with it. Obviously, I use VoiceOver, the screen reader, on there too. I can do ride shares, Ubers and Lyfts, check my mail, check social media, post videos on here, on Instagram, on TikTok. I can order food whenever I want. I have a magnifier on my phone which reads text back to me. If I have trouble seeing or reading something, there's apps that are available to me on my phone. If I really need help for somebody to see something for me, I can use the app Be My Eyes to call a volunteer and they'll help me out. There's so many things available on the iPhone that are just way too many to list, but like I said, this is basically, for me, it's my accessibility Swiss Army knife, and that and my white cane are the 2 items that I would not be able to just leave my home without. So that is my list, and I'm sorry if it looked like my lighting has changed. It's actually a very overcast day. Well, not overcast day, but the sun's coming in and out, so yeah, sorry about that. But anyway, so if you were to make a list, what would it look like, and what would be at the top or at the bottom or in the middle? So yeah, just let me know how your list would look like, and I'd really be curious as to how you rank your accessibility tools. I will talk to you folks next time, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.